ever feel like, like cheated when a campaign ends?
Oh, yeah.
Like you spent all this time, making your character and you explore the world, and you're overcoming challenge after challenge, and then boom.
Yeah.
It just fizzles.
It's the worst.
I know.
I'm so irritated.
What happens?
Our campaign just ended, and the DM just wanted it to be over.
Really?
Rushed, anticlimactic, so unsatisfying.
Oh no.
We spent weeks and weeks building up to this, and for what?
Oh, that's terrible.
I know.
Well, maybe this deep dive can help us avoid that, in the future.
I hope so.
Today, we're going to be looking at this article from LitRPG Reads.
Okay.
It's called How to End Your D&D Campaign with Epic Moments and Emotional Payoff.
Ooh, that sounds promising.
It's by Emily Thorne, and it's all about making those final sessions memorable.
For everyone.
Yeah, for the players, but also for the DM.
Right, because the DM puts in so much work, too.
Exactly.
So what does this article say?
Well, it kicks off by talking about closure. And that doesn't just mean, defeating the bad guy.
Right.
It's about tying up all those loose ends that have been in the story the whole time.
Like what?
Well, remember, in the early sessions, we had that mysterious prophecy.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And then there was that weird NPC who was kind of hinting that they had a bigger role to play. Well, the finale is the perfect time to bring all that back.
Oh, so you can finally reveal their true significance.
Exactly like when you're reading a good book and you have that aha moment.
Yeah.
When you realize those details from earlier were actually foreshadowing the ending.
Right, and it makes you feel so smart.
Totally, and it rewards players for paying attention.
I like that.
It makes them feel like their actions throughout the game have really mattered.
I think my players will love that.
Yeah, so the article gives us a great example of how to do this.
Okay, I'm listening.
Imagine early on, your players, they find this amulet.
Okay, a simple amulet.
Yeah, and it seems really mundane.
Okay, yeah.
But then in the finale, it turns out that this is the key. To what?
To unlocking the final boss's weakness.
Whoa!
Or maybe it's a powerful artifact that can save the whole world.
Oh, wow, so it's not just some random trinket.
Nope. Suddenly this thing that seems so unimportant is now the most important thing.
And it makes all the difference.
And the players who held on to it,
yeah,
they feel like their decision to keep it actually mattered.
Oh, that's cool.
Right.
So it ties the whole campaign together.
It does, and it gives the campaign the sense of cohesion.
But closure isn't just about the plot points, right?
It's not. It's about emotions, too.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Emily Thorne emphasizes the importance of emotional payoff.
Yeah.
So this is your chance as a DM to make the stakes really high, to create really heartfelt farewells and make the ending truly resonate.
Okay.
Think about some of the most memorable movie endings,
Yeah.
the ones that stay with you.
Right.
They often leave you feeling something profound,
Like what?
like joy or sadness or even a sense of wonder.
Those emotions are what make the ending so powerful.
They make it stick with you.
They do.
So how do we as DMs do that?
Well, Thorne suggests a few different techniques.
Like what?
One is to personalize the stakes.
What do you mean?
So instead of fighting some generic evil,
Right.
what if the final battle happens somewhere that is personal to the characters?
Like where?
Maybe it's their hometown or the place where they all first met, or maybe it's even a place that's sacred to their deity.
I see.
Suddenly the fight isn't just about saving the world.
It's more than that.
Yeah, it's about protecting something that means something to them,
That's good.
right? Makes it personal.
Yeah, the players would really care about that.
Exactly. And the article also mentions moral dilemmas.
Oh, as a way to make the finale have more weight?
Yeah, emotional weight. So imagine, the players are forced to make this really hard choice.
Oh, okay.
Do they sacrifice one life to save many?
Whoa.
Or do they betray someone they trust for the greater good? Or what if they have to destroy a powerful artifact that could save the world? But there's a terrible cost.
Yeah.
These kinds of choices force players to think about these really complex issues
Right.
and the consequences of their decisions.
Yeah.
They can have a lasting impact on their characters and the world.
That's a good point.
It's those tough choices,
Yeah.
the ones that stay with you. Those are the ones that make for truly memorable endings.
I agree.
So Thorne also suggests like these unique endgame concepts
Okay.
that go beyond your typical boss battle.
I like that idea.
She talks about a final boss with a twist.
A twist.
Yeah, and it's not just about like adding a surprise element or making the boss tougher or anything like that.
So what is it about?
It's about like subverting expectations, you know,
Oh, I see.
and challenging the players in a way they aren't expecting.
Okay, give me an example.
Okay, well, Thorne gives a couple.
Okay.
So imagine a battle with multiple phases, and the boss transforms throughout the fight.
Oh, wow.
They change their tactics and their abilities.
So the players have to keep adapting.
Exactly.
That's a cool idea.
Or maybe the final boss isn't even evil,
Ooh.
but they have these really complex motivations that make the players question their own goals,
Interesting.
right?
I like it.
So I'm picturing this scenario where like the villain
Uh-huh.
is actually trying to stop some bigger catastrophe.
Oh, wow.
And now the players have to choose.
Oh, between.
Do they side with the person they've been fighting this whole time? Or do they stick to their original mission, even if it means like dooming the world?
Wow, that is a dilemma.
Right.
A real moral dilemma.
It forces players to think outside the box.
Yeah.
It makes them question everything they thought they knew.
And that can lead to some interesting role-playing moments.
Absolutely, and some really unexpected outcomes.
I bet.
Yeah, these twists sound amazing.
They do.
But what about finales that change the whole world?
No.
Thorne also explores that idea.
Really?
Yeah, like using a world-altering event as the climax of the campaign.
What kind of event?
It could be like a natural disaster of epic proportions,
Oh, wow.
or a planar convergence that merges different dimensions,
That would be crazy.
or even the awakening of a god that's been asleep for centuries.
Now that's epic.
Right, it's not just about saving a village or a kingdom.
It's about the whole world.
Exactly. The fate of everything is hanging in the balance.
So how do you even start to design something like that?
Well, that's where things get really interesting.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
So instead of just one big boss fight,
Okay.
the finale might involve a bunch of different encounters that are all connected,
Oh, I see.
and each one contributes to this big world-altering event.
So the players have to...
They might have to travel to different places, gather allies, and complete these super challenging
to
tasks
save the world.
to prevent the world from being destroyed.
Wow, that sounds amazing.
It gives the players a sense of agency. You know, like they're not just reacting to whatever the DM throws at them.
They're actually shaping how things unfold.
Exactly. Their actions have a direct impact on the world around them.
That's powerful.
It is, and I bet it makes for a much more memorable finale.
Absolutely.
One last concept that Thorne explores is the idea of an unfinished victory.
An unfinished victory.
Yeah, it sounds kind of counterintuitive at first,
It does.
but it can be a really effective way to end a campaign.
How so?
Well, wouldn't your players feel cheated if they don't get like a clean victory at the end?
Yeah, maybe.
Well, not necessarily.
Okay, why not?
An unfinished victory, you know, it shows that the world is complex
Okay,
and not every problem has a simple solution.
right.
So maybe the players, they defeat the main villain,
Okay.
but in doing so, they accidentally unleash a new threat,
Oh, no.
or they create a power vacuum that leads to more chaos.
Oh, so they won but at a cost.
Exactly. Or maybe they achieve their main goal,
What?
but they suffer a great personal loss in the process. So it's like a bittersweet ending,
Yeah,
where they succeed, but they realize that their actions have unintended consequences.
that's deep.
It adds like a layer of realism to the ending
I can see that.
and complexity. And it can leave the door open for more stories and adventures.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, because in a world like D&D,
Right.
there are always new challenges to face and new stories to tell.
That's true.
Wow, this is giving me so many ideas
Me too.
for my next campaign finale.
I know.
We've talked about closure,
Yes.
emotional payoff,
Uh-huh.
unique endgame concepts,
Yeah.
and even unfinished victories.
It's so much to think about.
I know. So where do we go from here?
Well, now that we have like the groundwork,
Yeah,
it's time to get into the nitty-gritty of designing those epic finale encounters.
awesome.
And trust me, Thorne has some fantastic advice on how to make those final sessions unforgettable.
Okay.
But that's a conversation for part 2 of our deep dive.
Okay, can't wait.
So let's talk about the actual design. You know, like the nuts and bolts of those epic finale encounters.
Okay, because I'm already thinking of some ideas.
Yeah. So Thorne starts with the final dungeon,
Right.
or like whatever location is the climax, you know?
Right.
She says this is like the culmination of everything
Yeah.
that the players have experienced.
That's like the final test.
Exactly, the ultimate fix.
So it can't just be like a bunch of rooms and monsters, right?
No way, it has to be something special.
Like what?
Well, think about the setting the atmosphere,
Okay.
even the mechanics, like how it works.
Make it stand out.
Yeah, instead of just a regular dungeon crawl.
Right.
What if it was like a crumbling castle?
Okay.
Like right on the edge of a volcano?
Whoa.
Or a giant library where the shelves are always moving,
That's cool.
creating new puzzles and challenges?
I like that.
What if the dungeon itself was like a reflection of the campaign's themes?
Oh, that's a cool idea.
Yeah, like if the story's been about corrupt government, then the final dungeon is this decadent palace.
Full of secret.
Yeah, full of illusions and hidden agendas.
That's awesome.
Right.
So don't let the players get too comfortable.
No, you gotta keep them on their toes.
Throw in some surprises.
Yeah, unpredictability.
Okay.
Think about dynamic environments.
Okay.
Like the dungeon changes based on what the players do.
So they have to think on their feet.
Exactly. Or there are environmental hazards that pop up.
Oh, like a sudden flood or something.
Yeah, or maybe the enemies have these weird abilities.
That the players have never seen before.
Yeah, so their usual strategies won't work.
It's like in a video game when you think you've mastered it, and then the boss does something totally new.
I love that feeling.
B2 keeps you engaged.
And speaking of bosses,
Yes.
remember those final boss with a twist ideas
Oh, yeah.
we were talking about?
Let's get into that.
Thorne suggests a multi-phase battle
Okay.
where the boss transforms.
Throughout the fight.
Yeah, so it's like they think they've won.
Yeah. And then boom.
The boss becomes even scarier.
Exactly. And it adds a whole new layer to the conflict.
That's cool.
Another twist is a boss that can control time.
Time manipulation.
Yeah. They can rewind their actions.
Wait.
Or even trap the players in a time loop.
Whoa, now that's a mind-bending encounter.
It is.
So you mentioned time manipulation.
Yeah.
I'm thinking back to those world-altering events.
Uh-huh.
It seems like time magic would fit in there perfectly.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
What if the players have to stop a ritual?
Okay.
That's going to break time.
Break time.
Yeah, and cause past, present, and future to collide.
Whoa, that's insane.
They wouldn't just be fighting an enemy.
They'd be fighting for reality itself.
Exactly.
So it's not just a dungeon crawl anymore.
No, it's a race against time.
But the fate of the world at stake.
High stakes.
So talking about these world-altering events,
Yeah?
what about scenarios that force players to make these big choices?
With big consequences.
Yeah, choices that really change things.
Thorne loves that idea.
She does. She says present players with moral dilemmas.
Okay.
That could change the fate of whole factions.
Or even reshape the political landscape.
Yeah.
Wow. So it's not just about defeating the bad guy.
No, it's about what kind of world they're fighting for.
That's a great point.
Imagine this scenario.
Okay.
The players have to choose
Between what?
between allying with a really powerful group,
Okay.
but they're morally ambiguous,
Not exactly good.
Yeah, or they can face the final threat alone.
That's a tough choice.
Their decision could decide who rules,
Wow.
what laws are made, even how magic is used.
That would make players think hard
It would.
about the impact of their actions.
It's not just about winning the battle.
It's about the kind of world they want to live in.
Exactly.
Thorne says tie those choices back to the campaign's themes.
Right. So if the story's been about tradition versus progress,
Okay.
the final choice is about a radical new technology.
Or holding on to the old ways.
Yeah.
That's a cool way to tie everything together.
Yeah.
So what about those unfinished victories?
Oh, yeah.
How do you do that well?
Thorne has some great examples, like maybe they achieve their main goal,
Uh-huh.
but there's a terrible cost,
Okay.
like sacrificing a city to stop a plague,
Oh, wow.
or they beat the villain but unleash a new threat.
Oh, so it sets up a potential sequel.
Exactly.
Those endings would definitely leave an impact.
They would.
They win, but it's bittersweet.
It's complex.
Yeah. And they're left wondering what happens next.
Right. It shows that even heroes can't fix everything.
And that the world keeps going.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about designing these encounters,
Yes.
weaving in player choices.
And unfinished victories.
But how do we wrap it all up?
In a way that feels good.
Yeah, give the players a sense of closure.
Thorne talks about epilogues, right?
She does.
And they're a great way to tie up loose ends.
Okay.
Show the impact of the player's choices.
And even hint at what's next.
Exactly.
We talked about them a bit before.
We did.
But I want to hear more about how to make them really good.
Well, that's a discussion for part 3,
Okay.
where we'll talk about how to make a finale truly memorable.
We've talked about so much in this deep dive, like how to make a finale memorable and those epic encounters and giving players choices and even those unfinished victories.
So many great ideas.
I know, but now I'm thinking like, how do we actually deliver all this? you know?
Yeah, how do we as DMs make it real for the players?
Right, like take those concepts and make them into an experience.
That's where the art of DMing comes in.
It's not just what happens.
It's how you present it.
That's so true.
Think about those moments in movies or books that stick with you.
Yeah, the really powerful ones.
Not just one thing.
It's a combination of things.
The tension, the dialogue, the imagery, even the music.
So we have to create an atmosphere.
Exactly set the mood.
Use everything we can to pull the players into the story.
Thorne suggests using really evocative language.
To describe things.
Yeah, the setting, the action.
Paint a picture with words.
And don't forget about music and sound effects.
Oh yeah, to enhance the mood.
Like, imagine a haunting melody.
As the players enter the final boss chamber.
Or like the sound of a building collapsing.
As they escape some disaster.
It adds so much to the experience.
I've been trying that out in my games.
Yeah.
Using music and sound effects. It
Yeah.
really makes a difference.
It's amazing how much it can immerse the players.
It really is.
Thorne also says to give the players space.
To react.
Yeah, let them process things.
Take those big choices.
Don't rush those big moments.
Okay.
Pause for effect, you know?
Okay, yeah.
Ask them how their characters are feeling.
Let them have their moment.
Give them a chance to make speeches.
Or just reflect.
Make it a shared experience.
Not just dice rolls and combat.
Give them agency.
Let them help tell the story.
Talking about shared experiences,
Yeah.
Thorne talks about epilogues.
To wrap things up,
Give the players closure.
we talked about them before,
Briefly.
but how do we make them really impactful?
Thorne says focus on each character.
Oh,
Make it personal.
So like their own little ending.
Yeah, highlight what they achieved.
How they grew.
Show how their actions changed the world.
And maybe hint at what's next for them.
It's like that Where Are They Now at the end of a movie.
I love those.
It lets you imagine what happens after the story ends.
And if you want to set up a future campaign,
The epilogue is perfect for that.
leave some threads dangling.
A lingering threat.
A new mystery.
Or maybe one character starts a new quest,
That could be a whole new story.
like breadcrumbs leading to the next adventure.
I like that.
Thorne also says to show the bigger picture.
How the world has changed.
Yeah, like a city being rebuilt,
Or a broken alliance coming back together.
a new era of peace,
It shows that the players' choices matter.
that their actions had real consequences.
They changed the fate of the world.
That's an incredible feeling.
It gives everything meaning.
Thorne says there's no one right way to end a campaign. What works for one group might not work for another.
That's true.
You have to know your players,
Their preferences,
the themes of your campaign,
and tailor the ending to fit.
trust your instincts as a DM.
Experiment, have fun.
The best endings are the ones that surprise the players.
The ones they don't see coming.
Exactly.
Every adventure has to end.
But the memories,
The friendship.
they last forever.
Absolutely.
So a big thanks to LitRPG Reads
And to Emily Thorne
for all this amazing advice.
on crafting those memorable finales.
So what about you, listener?
What kind of ending would you want for your campaign?
Share your thoughts in the comments below.
Until next time, happy gaming.